We're here to demonstrate the wrap that we would do for arm swelling and arm lymphedema. Typically this is after someone has had breast cancer and they have lymphedema secondary to having lymph nodes removed or radiation. We start with a little bit of lotion. Apply it liberally all the way up the arm, including the hands and fingers. Then your therapist will give you a stockinette to apply. Usually we cut a hole in it for the thumb. And this is just for protection, just so the wraps aren't right up against the skin. So, there you go. Sometimes the fingers swell in addition to the hand, so your therapist will tell you if you have to wrap the fingers. So we're going to start with the finger wraps. You can either anchor it here at the wrist or over the top of the knuckles. I like over the top of the knuckles because if it just adds a different layer, a new layer if there's swelling. So you anchor it over the knuckles and you come back behind the thumb, come up to the pinky or start at the nail bed and wrap 3 or 4 times until each finger is wrapped. So you come under the hand and you start again at the top. Always start at the top so you have this fan that's coming across. Not wrapping really tight. We just want them snug enough that they are not going to unravel. Under and back to the next nail. Sometimes you need to use 2 wraps, so you just tuck that part in, anchor it where it left, so either at the wrist or up at the knuckles again, and you just continue like you were. You're always going to come from the top. And then don't forget the thumb. With extra, you can either cut it or you can layer through here, just through the hand, just so there's extra pressure if there's swelling through there. So that is the end of the hand being wrapped. You see the fans that's coming across the top, and typically you won't have anything in the palm except for that one if you anchored it, or you wouldn't even have it if you anchored it at the wrist. So the completed hand wrap. All right, now that we have the fingers wrapped and the stockinette on, we're going to the Artiflex, or fluff as we call it. Usually puncture a hole in it and put it around the thumb. And this is to protect all the bones in the hand and the wrist and allow us to wrap with a little more pressure so it's not as bothersome for the patient. No rhyme or reason to it. You just wrap all the way up the arm. You can double it up at the elbow because sometimes it gets a little sensitive in there. You can use 2 or 3 depending on the size of the arm, but you would wrap all the way from the base of the fingers all the way up to the axilla or armpit. Then depending on the firmness of your arm or how swollen it is, sometimes your therapist will want to use foam. The foam goes on just like the fluff, but you can pull it a little bit more snug. And we usually pull it snug so it conforms to the arm a little bit better. Just pulling a little snugly, and it too goes all the way up. You can either tuck it in or tape it. All right, now we go to our brown wraps, which is our short stretch bandage. It looks like a ace wrap, but it is not. As you can see, there's little to no stretch in it, so it allows us to wrap with a little bit more firmness, and it's a little more effective. We always start with the smallest and we go to the largest. Depending on the size of your arm, we'll either have 3 to 4 of these wraps. So this is the 6 centimeter wrap. I start here at the knuckles typically. You can also start back here at the wrist. I'm going to show you here at the knuckles. Usually have the patient try to spread their fingers apart as much as they can so you don't scrunch the hand up too much and cause pain over those little bones. So you start over the knuckles and you come underneath across like so. So we're going to start by making an X. If you can see, there's this cross right through here. We're going to come back around and do the same thing. Except if there's a lot of swelling right through here, you can go right over the knuckles again. Try to keep the wrinkles out. And you do the zigzag. If there's not a lot of swelling, I typically say if there's 3 layers through here, you can just continue up the wrist like this. Or you can use all that excess and repeat that crisscross over the knuckle layer. So you can either have the patient hold this or secure it with tape. This is our 6 centimeter wrap. Alrighty, now we're going on to our 8 centimeter. We're going to start at the wrist, and typically I have the patient make a fist and kind of hit you in the stomach a little bit, just so that arm stays pretty stable. So you're starting here at the wrist, and you're going to overlap half the width of the bandage, pulling kind of snugly. We're up like this. Then when we get to the elbow, you can either continue in this fashion all the way up or do a crisscross. I like the crisscross because it gives the patient a little bit more protection in this tender area. So you cross over, go around the arm once, and then you come right back down. So in her elbow area there's a cross. Then you overlap half the width of the bandage. You can either leave that there or secure it with tape. The next one, you start right in the middle of the arm, depending on the size and the length of arm, and you're overlapping half the width of the bandage again. We are using the 10 centimeter at this point. All the way up. If you have any extra, you're going to loosen it a little bit and just wrap it all the way down without applying much pressure. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of little lumps through here, and a lot of times patients get a lot of swelling right here in the forearm. So we're going to add a 4th wrap just to make this a little bit more uniform in compression. We want more pressure down here, more layers, and less as we go up. So we're going to start right here. Again, have the patient push you in the stomach a little bit, and we're overlapping half the width of the bandage once again. You might not need this one. You might be able to get by with 3. It just depends on what your therapist advises you to do. So once we're at the top, we're going to come right back down loosely, and this time we will secure with tape. We recommend that you do as much exercise or activities during the day to allow these wraps to work more effectively, efficiently, because the muscles are going to push against it and push the fluid up and out. So definitely use your arm as much as you can. This is our completed arm wrap for lymphedema.